Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is David Cashman at SEB Housing, and this is the lottery for the 11 affordable units in Phase 2 at Reserve at Spring Hill in Rehoboth. Let me give you a little bit of information about how many people applied, the waiting lists, and what to expect for the lottery drawing and then going forward. If there are questions, households at any time can type those in the dialog box to the right of where you see me. So I'll just type something there now so you know what I'm talking about. So let me just start by giving you a little bit of background information. And actually, before I do that, are there any households tuning in who don't remember what their lottery application number was? If you do know what it was, that's the number that's in the form of A.001 or A.002, et cetera, et cetera. If you know what it is, great. You don't need to tell me. If anyone's forgotten, let me know your name and I can look you up and give you your number so you know what you're waiting to hear, which number you're looking for when I do the actual drawing. I'll check to see if any households type it in that they've forgotten. But in the meantime, let me give you a little bit of background. So there are 11 affordable units, 2-bedroom units that are going to be offered in this phase. Congratulations on making it this far. I know that the lottery application is fairly lengthy and thorough, and there's a lot of supporting documentation that's required. So good job getting all of that in. I know that takes time, but it's great that you were able to put it all together. There are 5 households who submitted all of the documentation and who are eligible for this lottery. So this is going to be 5 households will get drawn for the 11 affordable units, which is good news because that means all of you are going to have the opportunity to move forward in the next step of this process. After we do the drawing and after I make the waiting list, we do still need a final sign off by the monitoring agent. And that's just basically they need to agree with our assessment that all 5 of you are eligible for this program. I can tell you in the vast majority of cases, that's a pretty, they usually approve our work. And so it comes back that you're approved and that's the end of it. Every once in a while, maybe they'll ask for, an additional document or something we may have overlooked. And so if that happens, we'll let you know. But in most cases, we just send the files and they approve our work. And hopefully that's what will happen here. So there's 5 households in the lottery. There's only going to be one waiting list generated by the lottery. And remember, the waiting list is established to create an order of priority for moving forward. And moving forward means if and when our work, your files are approved by the monitoring agent, then at that point we start putting households on the clock to engage in the home buying process with the sales team. And that's when some different players get involved. Up until this point, you've been interacting exclusively with SEB, and we'll stay involved, but we're not a broker. We're not on the sales team. We're not even on site. So in terms of seeing units, reserving a unit of your choice, signing a P&S, and eventually closing, and all of those steps that are involved, there will be people from the developer sales team who you'll be interacting with. And SEB will be involved as well because there is a final certification that you have to do when you get closer to your closing date to show that you're still eligible. Okay, so it is a good idea to keep updating your documents. And I'm sure you're kind of going, oh, haven't I done enough? And you've done a lot, but continue to update your documents because we do need to see some updated like pay stubs and bank statements to just make sure that you haven't doubled your income in the interim and unfortunately made yourself over the income limits between now and when you go to close on a home. So keep a file of all your stuff so that it's easy when you have to do that update closer to the closing date. You have all that stuff ready. So this will be pretty straightforward in terms of the waiting list. Sometimes we do lotteries that have like 10 or 15 different waiting lists and people are on different ones and it can get kind of confusing. This one's going to be pretty straightforward. There's going to be one waiting list because there's only 2-bedroom units. There's 11 of them. There's only five applicants. One household is a type 2. And remember from perhaps you remember from reading the informational materials that we do have to give priority on the waiting list for larger household types. So I can already tell you, without even having done the drawing, nothing that I'm going to do the drawing shortly. I can already tell you the one type 2 household will be first on the waiting list. There's no question about that. And then the only real question is, what is the order going to be of the next 4 households? And the good news is you're all moving forward. So this is really just establishing what order you're going to get to pick your unit in. Not if you're going to get to pick a unit, because you presumably will be able to. We're just really establishing the order of priority moving forward. Now, I am going to have to do a couple different drawings, even though there are only 5 households, and that's because there was only one household who indicated that they qualified for local preference. That household indicated that they were not a minority. The pool of minorities in the local preference drawing cannot be less than the percentage of minorities in the surrounding metropolitan statistical area. The percentage of minorities in the surrounding metropolitan statistical area here is 14%. Currently, there are 0% minorities in the local drawing. So the way this is going to go is there were 2 households in total in the lottery, not local preference, who said they were minority. I'm going to put them both in, there's 2. I'm going to put them both in the box first. We're going to do a preliminary drawing. I'll pick one of them. I'll add that household to the other local preference household. Then I will do that lottery drawing. So there'll be 2 households drawn. And then I will take those 2 households and I will add them with the other 3. And then I will draw all 5 of them. And I have to go through each of those 3 steps just to create one waiting list. But that's how the program says we have to do it. So that's what I'll do. So as I'm doing the drawing, other than the one type 2 household who already knows they're going to be number 1 on the waiting list, the other 4 don't know yet. I won't know as I'm drawing them. You won't know exactly where you are as I'm drawing them. But within an hour or 2 of the lottery, I will create the waiting list. Those will be ordered top to bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in order of priority. I will email those to you. It looks like every household in this lottery did supply an email. So check your email in the next few hours, and you will get the waiting list from me. Those will be with your lottery application number, not your name. So it all stays anonymous, and you just find your lottery application number. And that's where you are on the waiting list. We're going to send all of your files to the monitoring agent right away for approval. And we expect it may be, a week or 2, or maybe even 2.5 before we hear back. And then as soon as we hear back, we'll let you know. And then we'll start putting households on the clock one by one. And again, the advantage of being higher on the waiting list is you're just going to get choice of which of the 11 units you want. Once you reserve that unit, we put the next household on the clock. They can reserve from the remaining 10. Once they reserve, the next household can reserve from the remaining 9, and so on and so forth. Some of these details that I just went over, I've saved into a PDF, and I will send them to you in an email along with the waiting list that I'm going to send to you in a couple hours. So you don't have to memorize any of that. I'm going to send it to you. Okay, so are there any questions before we get going with the actual drawing, or should I just go ahead and draw? And if I don't hear anything, I'm just going to assume go ahead and draw. Great. Okay, so we're going to start with the minority preliminary drawing to add 1 minority household to the local preference drawing. So this isn't impacting any order of priority on the waiting list. This is just to add to the local preference pool to comply with the program requirements. I've got my 2 numbers here, put them in my very sophisticated lottery box. I know it's pretty outdated, but it gets the job done. Shake it up. I'm going to pick 1 number out. That household's going to be added to the local preference pool, and that number is going to be A.003. So this household is now going in the local preference pool, will get priority as if they're a local preference household. Okay, that's what we just did. All right, So add them here. My 2 local preference households now. I'll take the other one out. Add them to the general pile to be drawn later. This is going to be pretty quick. All right. So now my local preference drawing. First one drawn is A.001. A.001. And then the next one's going to be A.003. All right, that was the local preference drawing. Hope you didn't blink, you might have missed it. All right, now we'll do the general drawing. This is going to be just about as fast. So I've got my 5 lottery households here. Let me shuffle these up. Put them in the box and mix them up. All right. And here's the general drawing with all 5 households. I know it's a little weird that local households get put in both drawings, but in the end, they only get 1 space on the waiting list. And that's a little redundant, probably unnecessary, but still required by the program. So that's how we do it. But it all shakes out and works out the way it's supposed to. There'll be 1 waiting list with 5 households. Okay, first number drawn is A.004. Next one drawn is A.001. Next one drawn is A.002. Next up is A.003. And last drawn is A.005. That's it. It's quick, relatively painless. So again, I'll hang out for a sec if there are any questions, but I got to just sort these quickly. I'll create the waiting list. I'll send you all an email with some information about the things I've already talked about, but they'll be written out, just details about the lottery and next steps and the waiting list. And again, all of your files are being sent to the monitoring agent. You're all going to have the opportunity to move forward in this next step, which is great. So congratulations on getting this far. And check your emails tonight if you want to know, where you are on the waiting list. I will hang out for a sec just to see if anyone has any questions, but otherwise, thanks for tuning in, and congrats on making it this far. Okay, no questions? Well, if you think of something, you know where to find us. You can email us, you can call us, info@SEB Housing, and you will certainly be hearing from me tonight, and then you will be hearing from our team in the next couple weeks here once we get word about your files and moving forward. So thanks again, everyone, and I hope everyone has a great night. Take care.